I'm here in London at Here East, which is part of Loughborough University, and this is the place where they hold the Block Dojo Cohort. So the guys have been here for the second cohort for the last 12 weeks. They've been being mentored by people like Robin Coase and Dr. Jack Rogers, who's been on our show. So I'm here to literally take some video of the guys presenting their new business ideas to investors. So I hope you enjoy this little presentation. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we're going. Hello, welcome everybody to our second ever Satoshi Block Dojo. That's the first clip up. We've been talking to Craig for too long tonight. Showcase. Thank you all for coming here. It's so great to see so many familiar faces in the audience. And it's great to see so many new faces as well. So whether you're here because you're interested in startups, whether you're here because you're interested in blockchain, or whether you're here just for a good time, I'm telling you, you're in the right place. So just to kick off, I have some housekeeping to attend to. So first of all, it's true, we've got 9 smoking hot startups ready to pitch to you all tonight. However, we have not planned a fire drill. If the fire alarm does go off, please make your way out in an orderly fashion. Secondly, now I know for some of you, if you're not connected to the internet, you can start hyperventilating and panicking. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Just search for Plexel Guest on your Wi-Fi and we'll get you connected. Breathe easy. Incidentally, if you are taking photos and you're posting up on social media, please feel free to use the hashtag BlockDojo and our marketing team will amplify your messages. And lastly, please, out of common courtesy, can we all just take a moment just to switch our phones onto silent? In fact, I'm going to do mine now because that's going to be super embarrassing if that goes off. So, okay, so let me just quickly take you through tonight's agenda, what we've got planned for you. Shortly, I'm going to be inviting to the stage our founder and chairman, Mr. Craig Massey, that's going to be sharing his welcoming notes with all of you. Next, we're going to be hearing from us not 1 but 2 sponsors of tonight's event, Globalization Partners and Connected. Then you're going to get to hear back from me, you lucky bunch. Just want to go through a few thank you messages. And then we get into the main event, the pitches, where 9 of our companies are going to be presenting their business propositions to all of you here tonight. And finally, before we break for the networking and continue the conversations outside in the park area, we're going to have our Satoshi Award, the Golden Samurai. And I'm going to actually need all of your audience participation for this. So more of that to come. So with that, I'm going to welcome to the stage our chairman and founder, Mr. Craig Massey.
Why have we still got that photo? Christ almighty, that's what they used to dye my hair. I mean, Jesus, how embarrassing. Guys, here we are, 12 weeks later from Cohort 2, and what a brutal 12 weeks it's been. Not just for us, but actually for the founders, because unlike the formulaic, anodyne, the typical kind of Silicon Valley incubators that you get, it's like Y Combinator, who basically, everyone's a winner, everyone gets a little gold star, it's like, yeah. No, it's Brit style. So we are much more brutal and rude. And the reason being is because half the team are entrepreneurial, and we know how painful it is to actually start a company, grow a company, scale a company, and then sell a company. So I'm sorry, but we can't kind of just fanny around and just have nice. So there's no political correctness is what I'm cutting to. So what do? So we go out and we hunt. Oh, hello. It's my slide. Okay. We are showcasing 9 startups apparently. So anyway, in our cohorts, we do 3 cohorts a year. And we start, we do lots of deal flow activity. We have a huge kind of evaluation process. One of the things we really go for are the founders coachable? Because this is an incubator. And incubators, is a very early stage. But, we put them through the mill. In week 2, we try to kill their business. They have to justify that somebody gives a shit about their business. In week 4, I do their financial modelling. And we have to determine, is this a little mum and pop operation, or is this a real company that we can potentially scale and maybe even be a unicorn? So it's all about the founders first. Now, that is not without its trials and tribulations, because in cohort 2, I'm not telling you which ones, but we had to do a couple of minor pivots. And that makes perfect sense. It's an incubator. Now, were there tantrums and tiaras? Absolutely. Were there a few little contretemps? Absolutely. But we get through that, and we've now got 9 outstanding, awesome founders who have got real-world companies. In fact, they've got MVPs. All of them have got a real working prototype, so you can actually see it. So in terms of de-risking it from an investor perspective, we actually make sure that we actually narrow it down so that it's a sensible investment, particularly because all of them are SEIS, which means, of course, it massively de-risks it as well. So it's a 12-week program. Now, 12 weeks doesn't sound a lot. You can cram an awful lot in. You really can. And if anybody kind of goes onto our website, you can actually see day by day. Literally every day we have masterclasses, we have workshops, we have one-to-ones. But these guys give us feedback. How annoying is that? They walk through the door, we give them a load of cash to start with, and then they have the effrontery to slag us off. It's most disconcerting. So, particularly when I do, I take responsibility for a few days within the program as well. But that's the best way to learn. So from cohort 1 to cohort 2, they gave us lots of feedback. In cohort 2, out of 48 sessions that they gave us feedback, only 6 were scored lower than 8. Now, I'm not happy about that. So we are doing something about those 6. We're either changing the presenters, we're changing how they actually present, we're changing the content, but that's the kind of scale, that's the granularity that we get into to make and improve our program. All right, so the one question I get asked more than any other question is, why the hell are you solely focused on the blockchain? There's tons of tech startups out there, so why are you just kind of sticking to your knitting nose? And it's called doubling down, because I've recognised, bear in mind, I was on my hammock in Antigua, I was retired, and I stumbled into the opportunity of the blockchain, and the more I researched, I became obsessed. I was OCD. I just went more and more, deeper and deeper. I listened to 150 hours of Craig Wright. Jesus Christ, that's not easy when he starts talking about Plato and all sorts of things, right? Okay. But the more I learned, the more I realized, holy shit, we're probably 2 or 3 years ahead of the pack before the entire world wakes up to the power of the blockchain. And it's not just about entrepreneurs. Yes, we're going to open up entire new industries that have never before been seen. But it's about investors. You guys are here today, because actually you're putting your hard-earned cash into something and you want a return on investment. And obviously you're thinking, okay, well, what's the risk profile? And even better, what's the upside if it all goes as we think it will go? So what I'm saying is that if you look at the internet now, I liken it to a leaky old bucket. We're in the 21st century and it's simply not fit for purpose. And the reason being is because the entire internet is based on a protocol called TCP/IP that was invented in 1973. And the protocol has not changed a jot in 50 years. Guess what else was invented in 1973? Any prize? Come on, just, well, there isn't a prize, but throw a suggestion out. What else was invented in 1973?
Platform shoes and flares.
What are you trying to say? It was the mobile telephone. Martin Cooper from Motorola invented the brick. Now, I bring this up as an example because look at the technological advances we've done with mobile phones in the last 50 years. And yet the internet is still a bit shit. And here's why. Okay. That's the last bullet point apparently. No. It is due a major upgrade. And the reason being is, what? Anyway, I can remember this anyway, right? So, if you actually look, first of all, it is appalling for fraud. I mean, I've had 5 tech startup exits. I'm fairly tech savvy. I've been ripped off royally on the internet. I mean, it's quite embarrassing, because you think, oh, great, I clicked that, oh shit, I've been ripped off, right? So there's a lot of fraud that goes on. So, and that can be eliminated with the blockchain. You look at data transfer, it's abysmal. I mean, why the hell do we have to go out to a WeTransfer to send something over a kind of 20 meg file? It's a nonsense, right? Doesn't have its own payment mechanism. And that just fries my brain. We have to spin out to Visa and MasterCard. 2 of the most, Silicon Valley American evil corporates that actually are inflexible. They demand minimum fees, and they disenfranchise about a third of the world because you have to have a bank account or an address. And these guys are a duopoly, and let me assure you, when they put loads of money into the digital information network that then does an online narrative called fake news, then American corporates are quite dirty, if you ask me. So, why will the blockchain be the next technological revolution, innovation, right? One version of the truth. Come on, we all know, right? Craig invented this thing. It's called a distributed ledger. It has an immutable record. So he built in the idea that these kind of like big kind of data centers have the hash, and they're always kind of peeping at each other just to make sure they don't cheat. So it's going to eliminate a huge amount of fraud because we have greater transparency. So it's very difficult to try and quantify how big this could be. But let's just take a leap of imagination. If you imagine that a third of the world is not involved in any kind of digital financial commerce, right? They're used to using fiat and who knows what, right? Let me give you a couple of use cases. We've all been there, we've done some research, we're halfway through an article, we're looking at the article, and up comes that annoying pop-up, right? And it will say, you can complete this article if you subscribe to the Washington Post for $10 a month. Goodbye. Whereas if a pop-up came and it said, we're going to charge you 1,000 of a cent, peer-to-peer micro-transaction, you'd be like, let's go. So that's a use case in terms of us in the developed world. What about the developing world? The bloke goes out, catches his few fish, probably has to spend half a day sitting at the side of the road and sweltering sun selling those fish because he's completely disconnected with anything to do with the digital economy. But all of a sudden, because of the blockchain, he's got access to the market, restaurants, shops, etc. And he can sell those for a couple of dollars and get charged 1,000 of 1 cent. So if you imagine all those billions of transactions that could and should happen, then at the moment they can't happen because of the system we have. So it's a broken system. And let's not get onto perhaps we can get onto surveillance capitalism. What about a single digital currency? I mean, about a third of the world are digital natives. Not many, I used to have 2 secretaries. My output at at a FTSE 100 was so prolific that they had to employ 2 secretaries to type all the letters up. Can you believe that? Now, I mean, that shows how long ago it was. But we don't have a single digital currency globally. It's just an absolute nonsense. And yet the banks, they know CBDCs. They can come up with the CBDCs, but they need rails in which to run those over. But of course, banks are greedy. They're not stupid. Some of them have been around 300 years, right? So, but of course they want to protect all the exchanges. I mean, I've literally been to about 12 countries in the last 12 months, 18 months. And to go from Kyrgyzstan shekels, I can't remember what they are, to move it around to US dollars and British pounds, I'm spending 10 or 12% of my wealth on just irrelevant nonsense, and I'm giving it away to the banks. Crazy. Turing complete, what does that mean? The current internet is done. It's an information retrieval lookup system, nothing more, nothing less. Turing complete means it's super smart. It can actually computate things in real time. It can spot massive inefficiencies. It can reward efficiencies. It can actually, in terms of you can take control of what you do in terms of social media. And you may want to reward or get rewarded. None of that can happen currently. And of course, as we've mentioned, this will explode in the developing world. Right. Eco-friendly. It winds me up when I hear, yeah, you guys are proof of work. Yeah, you're really crap at eco-friendly. You're terrible. It needs to be proof of stake, right? Not true, right? So our blockchain is incredibly efficient, but it needs to be efficient at scale. Now, we do the biggest blocks, we do the most blocks, but it's only by having a rich diversity of companies using it and actually scaling it up, it's massively more efficient than what we've got already. Enormously more efficient, but we just need to get that kind of critical mass, and then we need to get the mass adoption. And I believe that will happen in the next kind of 3 or 4 years. Right. So why are you here, and why is this of interest for you? Let's have a look, see what's coming up. Okay, so yeah, we're back on track. So it's like 1994. I was in Hawaii, and this crazy Californian kind of bumped into me in the bar, and he was so pumped up because he'd just come off a Tony Robbins weekend. And he was like, man, you've got to get into this. It's amazing. What is it? It's got the internet. I was like, shit, okay, this many, opened up his large plastic suitcase, which is called a laptop, and showed me Netscape, right? And I was there in '94, ahead of the pack, and I did nothing. And that really burns. So I'm not going to miss it again. So just like the start of the internet, there will be lots of unicorns born. And particularly in a program like this, because Techstars, now one of the MDs of Techstars UK, Max Kelly, he was their boss for 5 years over here. He's now our advisor, so we know everything about Techstars. But to put that into context, they are the most successful accelerator on this planet. 3,500 companies have gone through their program, and they popped out 35 unicorns. That is 1 in 100. So if we take, and by the way, I think our program is a lot stronger. In fact, Max has even said, he went, holy shit, you're cramming a lot in. Yeah, yes, we are. So if you look at that, then over 3 years, we're going to have 100 companies at least. Who's to say that the 9 companies you're going to see today isn't going to be one of those unicorns? But if nothing else, 85% of Techstars startups are still alive or have exited. There's only a 15% attrition rate with an incubator program. So I think I think we'll see, time will tell. We can scale globally, sorry, I'm getting moved on, which I believe will mean higher valuations. The dojo is early stage. Great news for us, we have the most generous tax allowance on this planet, to encourage, the likes of you guys to actually put some money into tech startups. And we all know the benefits of those, but this is the big one. Any of those companies that do exit after 3 years and 1 day, you pay 0 capital gains. So you get anyway, I'm not allowed to tell you what you get back from SEIS. Right, mass adoption. There will be faster exits, and the reason I say that is that once corporates start to go realise, the power of the blockchain, because it will permeate every single sector of science, every single industry vertical. And therefore, what they will do is they will buy their way to the front. And I think in 3 years' time, there will be an absolute feeding frenzy. That's what I hope. Anyway, let me hand back to... Sorry, but one more. What's this? Deluded? Well, let you be the judge of that, because you're going to meet some outstanding founders. And yeah, all right. Over to Alex. There you go.
I'd like to welcome to the stage our first sponsor, Nick, from Globalisation Partners. Nick.
Great. Thank you. What an honour to be here tonight. This is an amazing venue and an amazing screen. I want one of these. So it's sponsor time. I've only got about 3 or 4 slides, so I will be quick. But I guess Globalisation Partners, spelled with a Z, as you can tell, we're an American organisation. My job is I run Europe for them, so our commercial business. We are a $5 billion organisation. We have about 1,200 employees. And what do? We help young companies to expand internationally. Let's just see if this works. Okay, here we go. So we talk about remote work. This is something we're very passionate about. And I actually joined the month before COVID hit. And I thought it was a good company before that. And then, geez, wow, COVID accelerated our business model amazingly. So what we do is we employ people anywhere in the world. We have our own entity, branches, subsidiaries in 187 countries. So if you find somebody who you want to hire in a different country, we can hire them for you within a day or 2. So what does that mean? Well, it means you don't have to worry about setting up branches, subsidiaries, using contractors. It's much better to employ somebody on a permanent contract, because then you have much tighter control over intellectual property, and your valuations increase as well. Okay, so why do we work with Satoshi as an example? It's because we understand the companies that are here today are going to be the next big companies, and we want to help you with that. So certainly we can help with your expansion plans, but we also can help advise on international expansion. You may want to know what are the markets to look for great talent in. A lot of people talk about the war for talent, but we actually say, talent is everywhere. It depends where you look and for what roles you're looking for as well. So for example, if you're looking for accountants, you may not know that Sri Lanka has tens of thousands of accountants that graduate every year. They are exceptionally gifted talent, they're very hardworking, and they don't cost as much as UK accountants. So we can advise depending on the roles that you're looking to recruit, which countries to look at. You may be looking at setting up in new markets as well, for new revenue streams, and again, we can help do that. And we have a network of over 400 partners, so if there's anything you want to know about international expansion, ask us and we can help you there. We have a very cool platform as well, so we are a tech company, and I guess that really helps our valuation. We operate as a SaaS with a subscription model. The cool thing is, once you're set up on the system, we've got a great map here. You can click on any country, it pulls up an employment contract generator, so it's compliant in any country. You put in the names of the candidate, it sends off via DocuSign, they accept it, comes straight back into the system, and you've hired somebody. So it's easy as that. So it's total self-service for our customers. They can hire anybody, anywhere, very quickly. But again, at this early stage, we do understand that looking at new markets, expanding internationally, may be a little bit early for you, so we're happy to be advisory at this stage. Just talk to you about the differences in each market, and then when you're ready, we can help you to scale. In terms of some of the companies we work with, there are some examples here. This is a US deck, so if you're looking at the UK, anyone from a Revolut, for example, through to all sorts of different tech companies. About 70% of our customers are tech, and we do work with some of the big guys as well. But we love tech, and we love scale-ups, we love startups. So please talk to us if there's anything we can do with you. We're very pleased to sponsor today, and I think that's my prompt to get off.
I'm Roy Samuel. I'm the founder and CEO of Connected.
I just want to start off by saying a huge congrats to all the young companies that have come through the cohort. I had a good chance to speak to some of you before, some really amazing and innovative businesses. I'm looking forward to the pictures. And a massive well done to the Block Dojo team as well. I think when you're part of an incubator that is so ambitious, it's always going to breed ambitious companies. And knowing some of their plans, I really think they're incredible, and people will look back at the early Block Dojo cohorts as something incredibly special. So I'm personally very, very proud to be sponsoring the event through Connected. We're probably on the totally other end of the spectrum versus globalization partners. We're a startup ourselves, just about 2 years old. I've been working in technology for about 10 years now, founded something in 2014, which was a content creation toolkit, helping people create podcasts, videos, other types of content, and then a community to share everything with. We took that through multiple funding rounds, took it to about 8 million monthly active unique users before being acquired by a gaming company in 2018 called Gfinity. And off the back of that, was fortunate enough to start investing in startups, advising startups, and seeing the ecosystem from the other side of the table. And I was really familiar with all the issues that founders have when it comes to raising capital, connecting with the right people, who are the good lawyers, who are the recruiters who aren't going to waste your time, all those good things that we know and struggle with every day. But what I was really, really interested in was how opaque, how chaotic, and how unorganized it was for angel investors and advisors as well. So I thought this was a really interesting opportunity to start building a bit of an operating system for the early stage, helping everyone make and manage meaningful connections in a really smart way. So we started off by building reporting tools for founders, which integrate with open banking systems, accounting softwares, payment systems, to help them drive insights into their own businesses, understand how they're performing against their peers in an anonymized way, and help them share those insights with their own teams, potential investors, existing investors as well. We also built a portfolio management system for angel investors. So in the same way you'd have an ultra-consumable dashboard for a crypto wallet, for public shares, something fit for purpose for the early stage, and of course bringing people together in a really smart way. We're backed by the original founders and investors of eToro, Pipe, Nutmeg, lots of great fintechs out there. And if anyone's interested in understanding more about how Connected can help you along on your journey of growth, either as a founder, an investor, an advisor, or a non-exec, please come and grab me after. And thank you very much.
They've actually contributed to the food and the drink that we've all been enjoying, and we're all going to be enjoying afterwards when we do the networking. So just one more round of applause for the sponsors. So, my name's Alex Paul. I'm the Programme Director at the Satoshi Block Dojo, and it's my responsibility for the design, the curation, and the execution of the 12-week programme. And I've just got to say, it has been an absolute honour and a pleasure to work with such an amazing group of founders over the last 12 weeks. Thank you so much for trusting me. Thank you so much for trusting the team. And above all, thank you for trusting the process. So can I just get a round of applause for all of you? At the Satoshi Block Dojo, we're a startup ourselves. And we cannot build this company without having an amazing team. It's very much a team sport. And I believe we've got a winning team right here. So thank you so much for the team, everybody's support that helped all of the companies out for the last 12 weeks. So I get a round of applause for the team. Now, the other members of the team are associates. And these associates, they work tirelessly, morning, noon and night for our companies. Some people even say that I push them so much to the point of exhaustion. Lies, lies, lies. That's all I can tell you. Someone going to play my slides? I'm just teasing. No, look, please, no, a big round of applause for the associates. I cannot go for tonight with also not thanking our vast pool of mentors, especially those that have really leaned in and helped out with the companies throughout the 12 weeks. and they're going to continue to help them far beyond. You're going to see some of these profile pictures turn up in some of the pitch decks later on, so you'll see the ones that are really in there. So can I get a round of applause for all the mentors? I also need to thank the BSV community who continue to welcome us with open arms and again lean in and help out all of the companies that are in our program. So thank you to the BSV community. And finally, I really want to thank all of the friends and families from all of the entrepreneurs that have been in the 12-week program. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement. Entrepreneurship is one of the hardest jobs on the planet, and without your continued support, these entrepreneurs couldn't do what they do. So thank you so much. The 12 weeks is over, you can have them back. So can we get a round of applause? Right, that's enough of me. And with that, I'm going to welcome to the stage, we're getting into the main event, the pitches. And I am going to welcome to the stage, all the way from North America, the CEO of Combat IQ, Tim.
I'd like to tell you a story. In 2008, Formula One was one of the most popular sports on the planet. They had over 600 million people tuning into their races. But over the course of the next 9 years, something strange happened, and their viewership dwindled to just over 300 million. Leadership was left wondering why. And then they found a visionary, a man named Chase Carey. What he did was introduce advanced visualizations, in-depth analytics, and high-value data-driven stories to drive viewership to over 500 million at the end of his 3-year tenure. And the problems that Chase Carey saw in F1 are problems that we've identified in combat sports, and where we're providing a solution with an initial focus on mixed martial arts. When we talk about the problems in MMA, we're largely dealing with one major issue that creates cascading problems. And that's the fact that fight promotions are ineffectively targeting the modern fan. That's the fan that wants to experience the highs and the lows of the fights in convenient and personalized ways. And because of that, betting companies are missing out on multi-billion-dollar opportunities, and media companies are inefficiently able to access a 600 million person audience hungry for content. So what's our solution? Well, this is our actual computer vision prototype. You may have seen it outside. Essentially, we're having a computer watch fights and extract real-time fight data from broadcast streams. And this will be the key enabler to the rest of our business solution. This is a fight from Irish athlete Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez. A couple years ago, you may recognize it. That full solution is us extracting that data, analyzing it, and visualizing it. And we're essentially creating the data ecosystem for the combat sports industry. And we're delivering this to our 3 key verticals. That's fight promotions, the leagues that host the fights, betting companies, your Bet365, William Hills of the world, and media companies. We're most excited for our betting companies because they'll account for 88% of our revenue, as it's a revenue share model. We'll take a percentage of the revenue bet on the sport we provide data for. And we're expecting just shy of £5 million in revenue by year 3 on 167 customers. So it's important to know that we are the world's only AI-powered end-to-end data solution for combat sports. There are a number of other people that operate within specific verticals in this industry, but nobody's doing what we're doing. So I spent 5 seasons in pro football. It may not be the most popular sport on the planet, but it's the most monetized. I mean American football. And I got an inside glimpse at how teams and ownership groups utilize data to create a die-hard culture. And that's what we're bringing to MMA. And I'm ecstatic to work with my co-founder. He got his bachelor's and master's at number 3 ranked engineering school, ETH Zurich, and his PhD at number 8 EPFL. It also helped that he was a member of Team Costa Rica Karate, so he brings a wealth of experience to the equation. We have a strong advisory team who I could talk about for days. We have the first ever pro female MMA coach, one of the men behind the NBA's data analytics technology, and it's safe to say that they give us a level of confidence to make strategic decisions to scale. So I'm excited to say that our MVP is live. You can access it at our website. And then we've also created our computer vision and machine learning prototypes. We expect our first major development milestone in Q1 of 2023, with the final product being delivered in Q3 of 2023. And that'll put us in a great position to expand sports by 2024. That includes boxing, sumo, judo, and any other combat sport that enthralls fans across the world. So we're really excited that we have partnerships with EPFL and ETH to strengthen our in-house development. We're using their computer vision and machine learning labs to really create a high-value product that we can take to market. So I'm looking for £500,000 for 20% equity. And this will largely deal with hiring the best computer vision engineers on the planet, as well as filing the legal paperwork for our patents. We are going to change how the fight game is viewed. It's inevitable. What Chase Carey did for F1, we are going to do for combat sports. So I invite you to join us on our mission to dominate the global combat sports data industry. Thank you so much.
So my intro is quite natural because Mark, he's created a ticketing company, and one of my 8 startups and one of my 5 exits could have been a hell of a lot bigger and better. I mean, I got 13 million out of last second tickets, but if only I'd have had Mark's solution, I'm sure it could have been double or more. And what he's created is essentially the trip advisor for either music events. There's tons of music events, live music or festivals. And no one does an independent review platform. Everything is either tied towards kind of Ticketmaster or C-Tickets, and it kind of loses its kind of credibility. So he's already created an MVP. So he's out of the traps quite quickly. 10,000 reviews have been placed on his platform already. And what that means is that it's like a little honeypot. Because number one, we all like giving reviews, but then we all like reading reviews as well. So once you get your 10,000, he's had over like 2.5 million people come and view those. Now, what that means is that once people have read a review, that is the moment, well, it has to be a good review, I suppose, but that's the moment that you're in your peak purchase position. Because that's when you go, holy shit, everyone's saying great things about that, I really must buy a ticket. So, he's got access to 400 million tickets. We're looking at maybe a 1.2% conversion rate at that moment, because empirical evidence suggests that actually at that moment you have a 300% likelihood of buying a ticket because you read a decent review. But guess what? That's only a sprat to catch a mackerel, right? So he's got all that. The big game in town is his technology allows live events and artists to sell digital merch. That's what he calls it. In our world, we call it NFTs, right? So whether it's images, whether it's videos, whether it's album covers, whether it's lyrics, whether it's tickets, whether it's utility, all sorts of things, and that's where he's going to make the big money. So enough of my waffle, over to Mark.
Thank you, Craig, that was very kind of you. I want to set the scene very quickly. I want you all to imagine you're stood in the middle of a field. It's a gorgeous summer evening and you're surrounded by your friends. And you've just witnessed the most amazing set of live music you've ever seen. And now you want to share it with everyone else. We are Frenzy, we are a TripAdvisor-style platform for music and festivals. A little bit about me. I've spent the last 20 years monetizing content in digital media for brands like the Financial Times and Red Bull and a number of different startups. Thomas, our CTO, was part of the team responsible for launching the biggest ticketing and event discovery platform in Poland. You all know Craig. Mark Foster, however, spent 30 years working at major record labels, including Warner Music Group. He was also responsible for launching Deezer, the music streaming platform, outside of France. And AJ is our financial modelling expert. XEY now works at Condé Nast Media. So we've got a great wealth of experience in the live entertainment, music and media markets. So what's the problem? Well, there are a huge amount of live music events. 2 weeks ago in London, the Rolling Stones were playing Hyde Park. Ed Sheeran was at Wembley, and Guns N' Roses were performing at White Hart Lane, all at the same time as Wireless Festival taking place in Finsbury Park. And that's not even to mention all the hundreds of other gigs taking part in Shoreditch, Clapham, Camden, everywhere. And no one wants to buy a ticket to the next Fire Festival, right? The market's so big, in fact, that in 2019, 197 million tickets were sold to live music events in the US and the UK. And the average price of those tickets was about £100, a 23% increase from 2017. So it's a big market. Most importantly, though, it's growing very rapidly. By 2030, the music industry is set to double in value to £120 billion. It's big. Hold that thought, though. Now, according to consumer research, the vast majority of us in this room, 97% in fact, have used some sort of customer review to make more informed purchase. Whether it's a TV on Amazon, looking for a table at a local restaurant, an open table, or even finding a mani pedicure on Yelp. So potent are user-generated reviews that customers that use them to make purchases convert 120% more than those that don't. So we went out and we spoke to a load of media students, 300 in fact, who worked at UK university radio stations. And 98% of them said that there was no one trusted source of fan reviews and recommendations. So we created Frenzy. Now our platform focuses purely on user-generated content, fan reviews at music and festivals. It allows fans to contribute trusted, personalised experiences of their music and festival trips. And this also allows artists, venues and festivals to forge much deeper relationships with those customers. They can ask them for feedback, which is really important. So how are we doing? Well, as Craig mentioned, we're doing pretty well actually. In 12 months we published 10,000 reviews, and that was covering over 3,000 artists and nearly 150 festivals around the world. We've got currently, as of this morning, 3,277 registered users, and they supply us with an email address or they've logged on via their social media account. Our customer CRM is 20,000 strong. And the big news, as Craig was alluding to, is we now have commercial contracts with 5 of the big 10 ticketing companies, and we now have access to nearly 4 or half a billion in ticket inventory across the US and Europe. So how does it work? Well, fans can come through to Frenzy. In fact, at peak, we received nearly 750,000 new users in a month there. Now, I don't know if any one of you have used TripAdvisor before, but you don't tend to read one review, you read a few. And that's why user-generated content is 10 times more engaging than traditionally editorially curated content. So fans can come on, they can read reviews, or they can log in and they can write reviews. And from some competitor analysis we've done, we predict or forecast that they will convert at 1.2% to buying tickets from our ticketing partners, names you'll know and recognise. Now that's the top end of the market. The big opportunity is also at the lower end. Now, for those of you who like to go and see their friends playing smaller gigs around small bars, there's a really poor way of servicing ticketing. You normally turn up, you pay £5 to get in, or any amount, and then you get a stamp on the hand and you can buy a t-shirt. We want to completely digitalise this process using BSV blockchain. Every artist playing in any venue in any city around the world will be able to use our app to digitally ticket their gig. They'll be able to know who's bought a ticket, who's in the room, and they can even sell digital merchandise, NFTs, through that ticket. It allows artists to know who their fan base is and grow their fan base. Allows them to generate more revenue. In fact, so much so that in year 3, we predict we'll hit nearly £4 million worth of revenue through the 3 tiers of big gigs, small gigs, and digital merchandise. So I'm here today, we're seeking £250,000 for just over 14% equity. And we're going to use that money across marketing, technology development, and a small amount of overheads. So we're trying to create the biggest fan reviews platform globally. We want to get in a frenzy. If you want to get in a frenzy, let's have a chat. Thank you, and good night.
Next up to the stage, I'd like to welcome one of the most wonderful entrepreneurs I've ever had the pleasure to work with, Sasha, the CEO of Mintellium.
Thank you, Alex. The most incredible program director in Dojo history and the finest curator of impeccable wine for our social events. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends, and hopefully not foes. I was just curious, for those in the audience, at some point in your life, have you applied for a job where you've had to disclose your personal sensitive information, either on an online form or a paper form? Anyone? Yeah? Me too. You know, the good stuff. First and last name, date of birth, national insurance number, your address. Do you know where that information is going? I don't. And apparently, neither do these huge recruitment companies. Here in the UK, Woodbridge, responsible for onboarding applicants, Costa Coffee, and Premier Inn. 50,000 workers had their data compromised. PageUp, a recruitment platform spanning over 190 countries. 2 million applicants have their data exposed. Ladders, a huge recruitment company in the US, 13 million user profiles. And the cherry on top, Mongo database and Elasticsearch in China, over 500 million resumes exposed. In cyberspace, being stolen as we speak. This is unacceptable and needs to change. My name is Sasha. I'm the founder of Mentellium. We are a mobile data bank to securely store your verified credentials. So what's the problem in HR and recruitment right now? Well, it's a legacy system, mostly paper-based. Applicants and workers have no control over the data. Why? Because of the unsecure way that information is exchanged. Email, text message, online forms, paper forms. And then what happens? The companies you send it to store it on their own internal servers or filing cabinets. Yes, they still exist. Completely unnecessary and costly to all those involved. What's the solution? A mobile data bank built on BSV blockchain infrastructure. Seamless CRM and HRM integration into existing software platforms. The temporary sharing of sensitive information while always maintaining GDPR compliance. The user journey is really easy. You download the app, you create a profile, you upload your first credential, passport, driver's license. You send it to us. We send it to our partner company, it gets verified. It gets sent back to you, and then you send that verification to the interested organization. Always maintaining control and ownership of your data. Right now, there are a few competitors in this space, but they're mostly business consulting. We have a tangible product. We're focused in the UK, we're focused on HR and recruitment, and we're building on BSV. Something that will set us apart and get us leaps beyond all the competition. Our revenue streams. In phase 1 will be B2B SaaS. Over 40,000 recruitment companies here in the UK, placing over 1 million jobs, generating over £39 billion in revenue and service fees. In phase 2, gig workers, remote workers, something the pandemic accelerated. Over 7.25 million of them, and only growing. We're going to sell directly to them on a monthly and annual basis. But as savvy investors, you're probably going to ask me, so Sasha, what's your go-to-market strategy? That's the big picture. Well, it's private security recruitment. 360,000 operatives, over 4,000 companies, generating over £4 billion in turnover. These applicants, security guards at Wembley Arena, the bouncer at the nightclub, the security guard who protects the VIP of the politician. They need 7 verified checks. All that can go on the blockchain, and that's where BSV comes into play. What are the challenges right now? Brexit, COVID, 2 months of onboarding. With Mentellium, we can reduce that. After phase 2, we have 6 potential revenue streams. And by year 3, project over £11 million in revenue. progress so far. We have LOIs from 2 wonderful startups here in London and 1 in Mumbai. We're partnering with Incubator for our verification checks and CareCheck for our DBS checks. That's for private security recruitment. And we're working with one of the top BSV development companies in the world. Our full product will be ready by Q1 of 2023. And we're in advanced talks with 3 private security companies here in London. We have a strong international team. I come from over a decade of experience in project management at the major film studios of Hollywood, where I personally onboarded film workers, which is essentially a gig worker economy. So I acutely know their pain points. My CTO comes from over 5 years of experience in blockchain architecture and is a huge enthusiast of self-sovereign identity. My COO has over 10 years of experience in e-commerce operations. He scaled and exited 2 startups, and he's raised over $50 million in venture capital funding from SoftBank. We are working with 2 wonderful HR recruitment advisors here in London, both specialists, both passionate about an Italian solution, and both believe that blockchain will disrupt this industry. What's our ask? £200,000 for 15% equity at a £1.3 million pre-money valuation, going towards technology, operations, marketing, and sales. Data is the new oil, and there are people out there who are stealing it and making money off it. Join us as we keep your data secure and in your control at all times. Thank you so much.
The next guy up is, well, we call him our boy genius because he is unbelievably smart. He's from the best, well, one of the best business schools on this planet. And he's from Albania. But he's finally cracked the one thing that was the bane of my life. I have been to, I'm old, right? 58 years on this planet, and I can't begin to tell you how many of those dreary, the corporate events I've been to, conferences, or sort of a trade show, and the death knell is always like, oh, now guys, now's networking time, and you die a little inside, and you're like, and obviously we've all been there, and we're all like, oh, here we go, and you've got your glass of warm wine. And you're sitting there like, I like to say foreskin at a bar mitzvah, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that. You're like, okay. So of course you become very animated with your mobile phone. It's an unbelievably wasted opportunity. And finally, somebody has created technology that can fix that, and they can make networking events super productive. So he's got this kind of white label mobile app for event organisers. There are tons of B2B events in the UK. They can add all their branding. Obviously, he does all the usual stuff. He does the ticketing for the event. Obviously, it tells you who the speakers are and the schedule. It can give you a little map of the exhibition, etc. But here's the difference. Just like Tinder. Should I put hands up who's done Tinder? Probably a few of you, right? Okay. So it has every single attendee, and you can swipe left and swipe right. Do I want to kind of engage and have a little chit chat and do a little bit of flirting with this guy? Yes or no, right? But left and right, left and right. So therefore, once you have those awful, cheesy kind of like network, embarrassing moments, you don't have to sit there looking a bit out of place. You can just walk around. Because then, what happens is that through location-based services, it does a Shazam. So it actually gives you a little kind of a bit of a buzz. So if you want to speak to somebody and they want to speak to you, boom, it bursts into life. And you go, holy shit, right? So it actually makes walking around at a network event more fun, right? Instead of skulking in the corner, right? So, but that is only the start, because like LinkedIn, he wants to take it so much further. He wants to build a huge kind of database of this stuff. Anyway, enough about me. Over to Mario.
Anyways, I'm going to have to ask you, who still uses business cards? Me? Quite a few of you. You might find this expensive from American side for quite a later, but... Is that a grab?
New card. What do you think?
Oh, very nice. Look at that.
Do you see that smug look on his face? That is how people used to connect. And nowadays, I'm sorry for this, but 89% of your business cards get tossed away. The solution for most people is, of course, LinkedIn. That, as we all know, it's a social media. It wasn't designed for that purpose. So it offers you zero branding opportunities. But as Craig mentioned, where do we usually make new friends? That happens during networking events. Events like this one, or exhibitions, showcases, summits, conferences. But most of the actual networking doesn't happen during the event, because obviously you're not talking right now, you're listening to me. Most of the networking happens after it, during the drinks. And event organizers have no way of actually measuring it, because everybody uses a different thing. You might prefer LinkedIn, somebody else might prefer a business card. Somebody else might just prefer Instagram, if it's a fashion show, for example. And this generates a big data gap. For event organizers, businesses that have salespeople in the event, and just normal attendees. So, we are presenting to you Connector. As Craig said, it does everything, every boring thing that an event management platform does, from ticketing to post-event announcements, but it gives you the power and control over your own data. As well, we have that Shazam thing, not with swipe left and right though, but there is another main differentiator. We're not focusing only to event organizers. We are focusing to every single stakeholder, offering them a way to represent themselves, have all of their contact details in one place, and only share that one. As well, we can give you the ability to showcase your own brand. If you have like different jobs or anything, you can as well have 2 different profiles and just swap through them if you're going to different events. But our main differentiator is the data that we can collect. So let's say the sponsor that is sponsoring this event, after this event, they don't know if sponsoring this was actually worth it. With our solution, they can know which ones they've met during this event, and we can automatically integrate it to their CRMs. So if it turns out to be a successful sale, they know where it came from, and they can reward the salesperson, the event organizer, or anyone that brought it in. But this is a blockchain event, right? You can do this with no blockchain. And this is where we differentiate. We are a Web3 platform. We give ownership and security to every single stakeholder of our platform. As well, we can utilize NFTs for sponsors and exhibitors, so that if you go to a booth, we can give you the opportunity to claim an NFT as a gift. And then you can later on utilize that as a utility, discount code, or you can just claim something back from it. But who's going to buy all of this? In the UK alone, there are over 900,000 business events a year. These business events add up to £42 billion per year. If we look globally, only 8 years from now, this number is expected to grow to 1.5 trillion. And that's exactly where we're going to be. So, who am I? My name is Mario Alla. I used to study for electronics and programming before, and then I studied business and entrepreneurship. As well, part of my team is Blady, who used to be my boss once upon a time, but nowadays he's come on board to help us fully develop our program. As well, we have 3 amazing mentors that are experts in the 3 main segments that we are targeting. What are these segments though? Firstly, events, offering them better value for the price that they're paying. As I mentioned, we are a Web3 platform, so every attendee is in charge of their data, which means every attendee is going to be a connector user, where they'll have the possibility to either opt in for a free or a premium subscription. We are only focusing on business events, which will give us the opportunity to get referrals into the B2B space, where companies can use this as into the sales or marketing departments. As this, for example. Just don't put a QR code on a shirt, it doesn't work. So, who are our competitors? Oh, okay. First of all, there's LinkedIn, that, as I mentioned, is a social media. It wasn't designed for this purpose. Another one is Brella, which is only one of 100 business event management platforms. And I guess the comparison is pretty clear. So, if we look at the roadmap, and if you recall the American Psycho at the beginning, American Psycho was literally released 2 months before I was born. It's great. Only 3 years after that, LinkedIn was launched. So from then till now, nothing really happened on the way that we interact with each other. Things just got more complicated. In the second quarter of 2022, we launched Connecto, where we already have several hundred users using Connecto as a means to exchange social media contact details. Social media. In the first quarter of 2023, we plan to launch the events management platform, and from then, we're going to the B2B space. So what's our ask? I'm here to ask you all for £150,000 on a 1.35 million pre-money valuation. This money is going to go towards development, marketing, and salaries. So I'm pretty confident that if American Psycho was about to get filmed today, they would just use Connecto and not just a business card. So help us revolutionize the way how we connect. Join us.
Okay, I'd like to welcome to the stage the CEO of Move Genius, Hannah.
I'm going to start by asking a question. Who here has bought a house? I'm sure you found the process pretty painful, stressful, long. People in the UK find buying a house more stressful than getting divorced to having a baby. Move Genius is here to change that. Move Genius is a self-serve platform to enable faster onboarding for estate agents at the point of listing. Our mission is to speed up the conveyancing process, take admin off agents' plates, and provide buyers with more legal information upfront at the point of listing. We're a very strong team. I read law at Oxford, and I was a lawyer in the city for 4 years. I quit my job in January and have been working full-time on Move Genius for the last 6 months. I'm supported by Leo, a back-end developer, and Lucy, a UX designer. So, the key problems. On average, it takes us over 10 weeks to exchange on a property, and a third of property transactions fall through. Most importantly, these fall-throughs cost estate agents a whopping £4,000 per failed transaction. We aim to solve the lengthy time to exchange by providing buyers with more legal information up front. Vendors on our platform purchase searches at the point of listing. This will reduce the time to exchange by up to 40%. We've automated all onboarding and legal forms which vendors fill out. By providing these to buyers earlier on in the process, we aim to cut fall-throughs in half. And lastly, we've digitalised all compliance checks for estate agents, which could save them up to £2,000 per transaction. So, vendors using the Move Genius platform can complete legal onboarding in 24 hours through 5 simple tasks. The usual process is fragmented over a matter of months, and it's repetitive with tasks such as ID checks having to be completed multiple times. So why now? Crucially, new regulations are coming into force in April next year, which will mandate that estate agents and vendors provide buyers with more upfront information. We are getting ahead of the game, and we have built our platform so that estate agents can comply now. Secondly, there's a large market opportunity with just over 1 million property transactions a year, and estate agents and property portals are seeking solutions now. We're storing all title deeds and property data on blockchain as it creates a single source of truth which is immutable and can't be altered. This eliminates property fraud, which is rife in the UK and costs the Land Registry millions of pounds a year in compensation. Our MVP is built. Some of our key features include our ID and AML checks, our live dashboard and automated tracker for agents, and our automated legal forms for vendors. None of our competitors include all our key features seamlessly into one slick platform. Rather, they try to align different stakeholders, such as lawyers and estate agents and mortgage brokers. However, they all adhere to different timelines. We are a B2B platform for estate agents. We plug directly straight into them and ensure that they get paid on exchange. We have a B2B revenue model. We charge on a subscription basis. We charge each estate agent branch a fixed fee of £200 plus £10 per transaction per month. We also have 3 additional revenue streams which add up to £130. Our pricing has been validated by Knight Frank, who are beginning a pilot with us in September. The addressable market is huge. Globally, based on our subscription model, the total addressable market is 30 billion. In the UK, it's worth 500 million, and we aim to target the top 10 estate agents in the UK, which would give us an ARR of £7 million by year 3, and this is just capturing 1.8% of the market. Our MVP has had a great response. Our pilot with Knight Frank begins in September. We're in discussions with large estate agents such as Foxtons, Savills, and portals like Zoopla, and our first customer pilot was featured in the press. I'm supported by 2 great advisors, Ricardo Dawson, who is head of B2B partnerships at Zoopla, and Priscilla Cinder, who is a practicing conveyancing lawyer and runs and owns her property law firm. I just want to reassure investors that investment in prop tech is at an all-time high. Despite macroeconomic woes, investment has actually surpassed last year, which was a record year. We seek to raise £300,000 for 12 months runway at a pre-money valuation of £2.25 million. Come and talk to me if you'd like to hear more.
So, what they've created is really quite something, because they are, well, as you can see, quite survey. They're in the survey world. Surveys are absolutely enormous. It's a $68 billion industry. However, about 40%, believe it or not, are still super old school. I mean, you know, they actually, some of it is the clipboards down the high street, you know, when you get bombarded, you hate those. And then the other ones are kind of telephone surveys, which are really icky. And then the weirdest of all are the postal survey. I mean, who actually responds to those things? Anyway, so that is why there's a massive shift from all that analog awfulness onto online. However, online, they are poorly served. The biggest guys in the whole industry, so SurveyMonkey, score 1.4 stars on Trustpilot. How shit is that? I mean, honestly. So therefore, what these guys have figured out is because, you know, people kind of hate all the hidden fees with SurveyMonkey, but also the results they get are abysmal. Because once you get to about 5 answers, it literally drops off the edge of a cliff. And what CoinSurvey have done is they figured out that actually if you reward and incentivize people, you get a massive uplift. Now, I know it's kind of crazy. Why has nobody done this before? They have empirical evidence to prove that instead of getting, you know, a small, you know, a huge drop-off, they get a much lower drop-off. So it's quite interesting. Is they're the only ones in the cohort that have decided not to build an MVP. Why? Because it's a whole bunch of engineers. And they thought, screw that, we're just going to build the whole thing out. Now, in 2 phases. But they released their first release of the genuine, fully finished platform next month. They already have 4 clients lined up to do letters of intent and to do pilots. And I don't know if you know anything about the Norwegians, but they are tighter than Scottish people. Genuinely, so when I said, oh right, so are you doing kind of like a, you know, a free pilot? And they all looked at me with horror stricken. They went, no. We're charging them full price. So they've got four pilots lined up in October with their brand new platform. So they're miles ahead on the track. Anyway, enough about me, so over to Ollie!
Thank you. So please raise your hand if you've ever done a survey before. And how many of you loved it? Not too many. Yeah? A few. I love it too. But we need a solution to get the rest of the crew on board. We use surveys for everything. I mean, how else would I know that 1 in 5 of you Brits would like to have sex with a robot? So what's the problem? When we take a survey, 60% of us drop off. Now think about that. 60% of the people who were willing to take the survey drop off. Now that's a lot of lost insights. And why would we drop off? We have no incentive to take a survey that requires a lot of time and effort. So you think to yourself, well, let me add an incentive to my survey. But no one has an incentive system. You have to do it yourself, or you have to rely on third parties increasing the cost and friction. And the incentives they offer are some of the worst in terms of impacting your response rate. Because the incentive you offer and how you do it really matters. Another problem is that, well, we don't trust surveys. We have all heard about a survey and thought, this doesn't make any sense. That's because the survey industry is filled with duplicate submissions that can skew the results because there is no audit trail. So what is the solution to this? Imagine if you can incentivize your respondents with an instant reward for every question and a higher reward for questions that requires more time and effort. With an integral reward engine with personalized leaderboards, we can really boost your response rate. And with our solution, we can remove the pain of managing the incentives, data integrity, and third parties involved. So clients, they create the survey, they share it, and they buy the rewards. But respondents, they choose the reward because they know what motivates them. Now this can be digital payments, NFTs, game tokens, or can go to a charity like planting trees. And they would see a tree that grows as you progress in the survey. They would see a leaderboard of how many trees they've actually planted. The reward engine is all about creating a story around every incentive we implement. Now, why are incentives so important? Well, because we have decades of research about how incentives work in terms of service and how you should structure it. But nobody has really figured out how to do it properly until we actually get the blockchain. But for it to work properly, you also need to have an incentive that are meaningful to the respondent. That is why we want to change the current model and put the respondents in charge, because they know what they want. And the incentives are not just important because they increase the response rate, they actually reduce your cost in terms of gathering the data. And they increase the data quality. You get better data if you incentivize them. Again, this is a huge market. Everyone does surveys. But as Craig said, a lot of it is still going on postal, paper, and phone. Now from the start, we have identified 4 key verticals that we're going to focus on. And we can basically hit all of their departments because they all rely on surveys to improve their business. Again, as Craig told you, SurveyMonkey has a 1.4 star rating. So let me say what we're not going to do. We're not going to do a complicated subscription model with hidden fees and penalties, but we are going to monetize the rewards and do a pay-as-you-go model, where you buy the responses you need when you need them. And we will build out our own SaaS model to offer upgrade features. If we compare ourselves to the competition, we know we are the only one who's building an integral reward engine. And we are the only one who can provide our clients with that data integrity to make sure we have an audit trail of all the events. and we are laser focused on the user experience because it is so essential to the completion rate. Now we have been in talk with a range of different clients, some with blockchain knowledge and some not, and they all love what we do, and we have several letters of intent. So who are we? Combined, we have more than 30 years of experience as business and IT consultants. But more importantly, we have built a business together before, and now we're ready to do it again. That's why we came on this journey to London, to build something bigger. Norway is a small country. And we have the skills to develop it all in-house. And I also want to thank our advisors helping us. I know some of them are here today. And I want to thank them. They're helping us out a lot in terms of business strategy and client acquisitions. So our ask is 400,000 for 16% equity. Now we have come quite far in our development, and we expect to launch in October. And as we build out our SaaS model, we expect revenues to grow rapidly in the years to come. So if you want to see our solution in action, we have made a survey for you, a very short one, just so you can actually scan the QR code, and you can even do it with instant rewards if you want to. And if you're tired of boring and unreliable surveys, I welcome you to join our journey in disrupting the survey industry. Thank you very much.
Buckle in, enjoy the ride. Here's our next company, Dojo.
So in 2010, a guy named Kevin Kelly, founder of Wired magazine, said that to be a successful creator in the modern age, you just need to acquire 1,000 loyal fans. 1,000 people you can get to rally behind your brand, get hungry for your content, and spend between 50 to 100 quid of you in 1 year. That equates to around 50 to 100k. It's not a bad income. And this concept has given rise to over 50 million creators worldwide, from fashion influencers to gamers to designers. People trying to turn their passions into professions. And they make up an industry now worth over 104 billion per annum. But the issue is, only 2 million of those creators use their content as their primary source of income. And this is because the current revenue model is unbalanced, where we see 95% of all creator economy revenues only going to the top 5% of creators. And this is across all creator platforms. To put this into context, around 70% of all creators only earn up to £800 per month. It's better than nothing, but we think we can do better and restore a middle class within the creator economy landscape. So, along our journey, we've been speaking to a number of agencies and creators, hearing their story. One stuck out for me, Cece. She has over 2 million followers on TikTok. She's an artist and product designer. She posts daily. She's a cinematographer. But because TikTok hasn't got the monetization tools available for her to rely on her content as her income, she's not getting paid her fair share, despite all her hard work. And why are we interested in creators? Well, they come with their own audience, their own built-in fan base. They're brands with their own products and business. And these are the people that shape the latest trends. From the shoes you're wearing, from the songs in the charts, to the TikTok dance that went viral last week. When it comes to Web3, these are the people that are going to bring it into the mainstream. So introducing culture. We help creators to monetize their content as digital collectible NFTs and provide them with the tools to reward buyers for providing discounts on products, exclusive access to limited edition merch, and also access to experiences and events such as live streams, meet and greets, or workshops. We're a creator-first company. We recognise that audiences will come to our platform because the creators are there. That's why their storefront is their own customisable profile, with banner, profile picture, and bio. This is where they sell their digital collectibles as well as products. Once buying an NFT, users get access to their community room. This is gated to reward the most loyal fans within their fan base. Within the community room, creators can engage with their followers through live streams, audio spaces, and chat rooms. And this facilitates creator-to-fan engagement and fan-to-fan engagement as well. We're also speaking to Shopify, who recently have developed a plug-and-play solution that allows creators to build gated storefronts, giving their followers exclusive or early access to products and services. So why are we interested in digital collectibles? Well, if you sell membership or loyalty as a collectible, you're essentially providing the buyer with the opportunity to share in the success of the creator. The bigger the creator gets, the more valuable that collectible becomes. And what does this do? It provides incentives for deeper engagement in the creator's brand. If the creator wins, the whole community wins. Currently, we're having some great conversations with agencies and potential brand ambassadors, including Big Nasty. For those who don't know him, he's a massive personality in the UK within music, lifestyle and television, with his own show on Channel 4 that airs weekly under his own name. So how do we make money? We take 10% on every primary sale and 5% on all onward sales thereafter. The creators get the rest. By year 3, based on our model, we're expected to do 8 million, and this equates to having just under 400 creators on the platform, with a cumulative following of 7.45 million. Given that one of the agencies we're talking to has a TikTok clientele of over 10 million, we're already looking to completely smash this target. So why us? Myself, Archie, and Miles, who are in the audience, we come from content companies. We come from companies where content is the product and audience is the focus. We also have a beautiful team of mentors who are advising us across partnerships, Web3, business, and investment. And to those of you in the audience, thank you so much for the good times and all the impeccable advice.
So next up, I would like to welcome to the stage the CEO of Pickle, Dunya.
Can I start by asking a question? Who has ever been locked out, either their home or their office? Who has ever been in a pickle? My name is Dunya, founder of Pickle, and let me tell you why we are creating Pickle. I was a firefighter for the London Fire Brigade for just over 13 years. And some of you might be a little bit surprised I'm also a qualified locksmith. Earning an additional income on off-duty days is actually encouraged and supported by the fire service, just because they acknowledge that it's not possible to support a family on less than £2,000 per month. So back in 2016, I was in a pickle. You on Pickle can only be completed once a transaction has been completed. And we will provide instant and trackable response, just like Uber. So let me tell you what it looks like. Neve's elderly mum lives in Scotland. She's very, very proud of her independence. But this time, the key snapped in the lock. With Pickle, Neve can send an emergency locksmith, track their progress, pay them, review them, all from the comfort of her smartphone. So where does Pickle belong in the market? We're positioning Pickle in the gig economy market. Currently worldwide, 289 billion. Just in the UK, 20 billion. And just in London, 2 billion. With it set to rise another 81% by the end of 2023. Our main revenue streams will come from call-out and repair events.
I'm Steffi Carmel. I'm the CEO of SphereTracks. I'm also the CEO and founder of 2 other successful companies. I'm a London-based composer, sound designer, and producer, and I've had this journey ongoing for the past 35 years. I'd like to show you some of the highlights of this journey in this short video. Gramophone, everything coming out of one speaker. In the 60s we got stereo, 2 speakers, a much wider sound field. In the 80s we got surround, and when Tom Cruise flew past us in that F-14 in the original Top Gun, it made us look. About a decade ago we got Dolby Atmos, a truly immersive sound delivery system that places the audience in a sphere of sound, with the sound coming at us from up to 64 directions. Dolby Atmos has had good market penetration. As I mentioned, it started in cinemas about a decade ago, and now Apple Music are using it to deliver music to your iPhone, to your iPods, so you can listen to the latest Billie Eilish album, or you can listen to your favorite Elton John album remixed in Atmos on your iPods. And of course, future formats, AR, VR, and the metaverse will all use Dolby Atmos. Believe it or not, our competition still only delivers stereo, whereas we build sphere tracks from the ground up in Atmos.